I hope this video doesn't make me seem like a miserable person, but I want to take some time today to talk about one of my favorite hobbies and parts about it that I just hate. Okay, hate is a strong word, but there are things about reading and collecting comics that do kind of irk me, and I'm sure you have some of them as well, and I want to share a few of those with you today. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. The first thing I want to talk about is serialized trade paperbacks that are missing entire story arcs. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm reading the rebirth era of Action Comics, and this era is collected with a series of trade paperback volumes. Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. And I've been reading it digitally. It's the same setup, Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just digital, not physical. And I've been enjoying it. It's been a fantastic story. I've really enjoyed it. But there have been two instances now, most recently going from Volume 4 to Volume 5, where there's just a chunk of issues that are missing. I finished Volume 4, thought it was great, was ready for Volume 5, I moved on, I opened it up in my app, and clearly some things had happened that I didn't read. So I went and looked at the exact issues collected in each volume, and sure enough, there was like 10 issues that were skipped between Volume 4 to Volume 5. Instead, these issues were collected in their own kind of standalone trade under the name The Oz Effect. And I do plan on reading that now. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I do plan on reading it. Here's the thing though. There is no kind of mention of this jump at the end of Volume 4. If there had been some kind of note there that said, hey, to continue this story, go read The Oz Effect, I could have lived with it. But I had no idea that's how they were collecting this. I kind of knew they were building up to a story with this Oz fellow, but I just kind of assumed that was going to happen in Volume 5. So imagine my surprise when I jumped to Volume 5 and there's something else entirely happening. There was no indications within the book itself where I should go. I had to go off and do my own research, which, yeah, wasn't that tough, wasn't that annoying. But still, like, why do we go from Volume 4 to Volume 5, and there's a huge jump in the story? It just doesn't make sense. It drives me crazy. And as I said, it's not the first time that happened with this particular series. So this just happened to me like last night, so it's a little bit fresh right now, as you can probably tell. But I don't know, has this happened to you before where you're reading these and there's just a big jump and you're missing a chunk of the stories when you go from one volume to the next? I'm going to stop ranting about it now. I think you get my point. The second thing that annoys me about reading comics really doesn't have anything to do with comics themselves, but more or less the comic shopping experience, specifically when you go to just a general bookstore, not a comic-specific bookstore. And the thing that annoys me is how prevalent manga has become. Listen, I have nothing against manga. It's not for me. I've not really gotten into the stories with it. Maybe I should give it more of a try, but it just hasn't clicked with me. That being said, when you go to some of these stores, the amount of manga they have is like 4 to 5 times the amount of traditional American comic books that they have, which I find to be absolutely crazy. Now, I know manga is incredibly popular, especially, well, in my experience, especially amongst the youths. I get it, and the bookstores lean into what's going to make them the most money. I understand that, and hey, I'm happy that the youths are getting into comic books in some way, even if it's not my favorite type of comic books. But come on, the favoritism for this manga and the relegating comic books to like one tiny shelf when manga has its entire whole section, it just rubs me the wrong way. Again, I try not to be too judgmental of the bookstores, and I'm definitely not being judgmental of the people who read manga. I'm happy they enjoy it. I think that's fantastic. But I just wish my comic books, my American comic books, my Superman, my Spider-Man, my Batman, my Spawn, I don't know. I wish that they were represented a little bit more in general bookstores. And the final annoyance I want to talk about today are boring covers. And I'm not talking about it the way that you might think I'm talking about it. I'm not talking about the dust jackets. No, 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 no. I'm talking about what's underneath the dust jacket. Whenever I get a comic book, or a hardback, I should say, I always kind of get excited to take off the dust jacket and see what waits for me underneath. And sometimes there's some really cool art. Sometimes there's a neat design, or there's a few I've come across where you take it off and there's like this neat kind of shiny foil design underneath. Those are awesome. Then you have things like this book here. Give me a moment. What is this? It's like, I don't even know if you can see it on camera. It's just like a little indentation of a Christmas tree or something like that. It looks fine. It's interesting. It's a good piece of art. But my golly, you have this whole cover and that's all you could put on there? Something that quite frankly is kind of hard to see even in person. You could do so much more with this. And again, like I have nothing against this individual work of art. I'm just saying they could have done a whole bunch more for this. And this is not the only hardback I have that has a really freaking boring cover. Again, the dust jacket's fine. I love the dust jacket for this book. I mean, look at this. That's awesome, right? Why couldn't they have done something as awesome underneath? Drives me crazy. So there you have it, folks. There's me being a not miserable person about my favorite hobby. Hey, I want to hear from you, though. Do you share my annoyances that I talked about today? Do you have other annoyances that you want to share? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you next time.